where it's a body cam, or it's a GoPro on my little brother Arden's cowboy hat. And they're riding around in front of the BLM compound up by the gate, right? And here comes the contract cowboys at the exact same time that my dad and my brothers were up there. Well, so unwind that. And the government wanted to use that against us, that we went up there, that we blocked them, that we were trying to... Well, now we unwind, okay? Why was my family up there? Because Channel 8 News asked them to be up there to do a photo walk, right? Then right when my dad is there and my brothers are there, here comes the contract cowboys. You have to understand, contract cowboys are hired by the government to destroy other people's ranches. They know, the Bureau of Land Management, the prosecutors know the disdain that the ranchers have against contract cowboys.
And this is going back.
And it's amazing that all of a sudden now, here's this meeting between my father and brothers and the contract cowboys. And we were going, man, that's just odd that there's this mysterious, happenstance that the two were put together. Well, we found out in the discovery that wasn't a happenstance, that it was actually fabricated, that the contract cowboys, I don't believe that they knew about it though, but that they were staged off-site, that they knew my father was there. I don't know if they knew he was going to be there before or not. We have our suspicions. But then they brought the contract cowboys in at the same time. And then they were covertly filming it off in the desert. The Bureau of Land Management was filming it, the whole incident in the desert. Well, so you have to ask, well, why would they do that? Obviously, it appears, I think there's enough evidence there to appear that they wanted a confrontation between Clive Bundy and the contract cowboys, and then they wanted to film it. So they could show
2014?
March 28, 2014, so that they could show the world or have excuse to say, look, Clive Bundy is violent. Clive Bundy's sons are violent. When they created that meeting.
Where was that?
That was up at Toquap Wash at the ICP, at the gate. Now the interesting thing, so then you ask, well, what did my family do? What did my dad do? My dad took his flip phone out and took pictures of their license plates. And my brother, the only thing that was ever said is one of my brothers said, shame on you. And that was it. Because we're not violent people. And
do you know
anyway.
who ordered the contract cowboys to appear on the scene that day?
Well, we don't know who ordered it. All we have is the radio transcripts, and the radio transcripts shows that they were staged and that they were brought in knowing that Clive Bundy was at the gate, and then that they were filming the event. That's what we do know, and it's all in the radio transcripts.
And is that video footage on the internet now?
No, the video footage has never been disclosed to us. It's still exculpatory evidence. Those are the things that still have yet to. There's many of those items, so we still don't have those. No, the video you're talking about is the one that we filmed.
That's what I was asking about.
That's available. Excuse me, but their video that they videoed in the desert, that they mentioned twice in their radio transcripts, we don't have it.
You still don't have it.
We still don't have it. Yep.
What are your thoughts about those who pled guilty in this case, and even those who pled guilty in the Malliard case, or have been convicted and are now being sentenced or doing their time?
Well, I want to be real sensitive because I feel for them. I hurt for them. We all do. But there's a difference between those who pled out and those who, for example, in Oregon, that were convicted. And we've pondered that. It's been heavy on our hearts. But for those who pled out, how can the Lord protect them? And that's how I felt. That's how I believe that, you can't give them, you can't expect to win if you're not willing to fight. And if you give them it, there's no way that you can actually prevail because you've given up. And that doesn't change anything. My love for them, that doesn't change my respect for them. That doesn't change what they did, meaning coming out and defending a family, because they were good people that did that. the salt of the earth. And it doesn't change any of that. But I think it's a lesson for all of us that you never admit to doing something you didn't do. And you always stand for what is right and let the consequences follow.
What about those who've been convicted? I mean, who are followers of you and played a lesser role, went to trial and were convicted and are facing conspiracy convictions? Right.
Well, I just find it really odd that they could be convicted of a conspiracy when there was no such thing. And I think we're going to have to just follow the process of the courts, appeal those things, and win. Or somehow if there's another mechanism to get that thrown out or overturned, we'll have to do that. And we will do that. And we will prevail with them as well. And they know it. They know that.
You've talked a lot about divine guidance and providence. And I remember in some of your communiques earlier in Oregon, you talked about types and shadows. I was wondering, like, in your understanding of God's role in human life, right, in this dimension, and thinking particularly about things like types and shadows, like what is your understanding of the thing that your family is involved in relation to history and in relationship to God's intervention in history?
Well, we believe, and we've said it many times, that we believe that the Constitution is a divine document, that it was given to us to protect our liberties by limiting governments. And we believe that was inspired, that those men that drafted that and put it in place were inspired by God. And I think that this case shows that. How else can we, as just simple people that never been involved, I've never been in a federal court building at all. I think maybe one or two times for traffic. Your
brother's a lawyer.
Yeah, for traffic violations. I've been in a courtroom, a couple times. That was it. And how could people like us that are just simple people go against the federal government, the United States government, the most powerful government ever known to man, and prevail? And it's because the same being that inspired those individuals to draft the Constitution has given us an advantage here in this case, and we will continue to have advantage. And I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, totally. I was wondering, we're living in a very intense historical time. Everybody's talking about it all the time. I was wondering how you see the role of the internet in this moment and in everything that's been happening in your life and your family's life. And
yeah, I think of how many people suffered at the hands of what the government has tried to do us, but didn't have the media and the support and the ability to expose them. How many of them suffered? How many of them went to prison for the rest of their life, for their entire lives, or for many years? Suffered because we didn't have social media, because we didn't have everybody taking pictures and videos, and we didn't have thousands, or they didn't have thousands of video footage to show this, to show that. We have tremendous amount of well, let's just say this: there's a body cams that are supposed to film what the law enforcement are doing, or in this case, what BLM agents were doing, and all of a sudden it'll cut out, right? And then later it'll cut back in, or all of a sudden the audio just is gone, and you're going, well, what happened during that time? But then you can go to somebody's footage that they posted on Facebook or on YouTube or something, and pick that up and say, okay, this is what happened between that time, and this is why they cut it out. They didn't want that to be exposed. We've had that benefit, and many others haven't.
So a picture's worth 1,000 words, and that's what saved us, because it can be good or evil.
Yeah, and video and audio is worth about 10,000 words.
That's right. And so we have all the evidence, because we had all the pictures, and the internet has been a blessing, because we know that it exposed everything and told the truth, right? Shine the sunlight.
Sunlight's the best disinfectant.
What about the role of the internet in creating this, because it was such a strong community around you? I mean, you've been incarcerated for a while, but it's persisted in your absence.
Yeah.
What about the role of the internet in the creation of this community that's obviously also people who are hanging out with each other face to face?
I'll kind of answer that maybe in a little different, odd way. But the Second Amendment says, okay, but I'm going to tie the two together.
All right.
The Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state. And then it goes on about protecting guns, right? Well, what that is that we know that a militia is, by law, every able-bodied man between the age of this and this. I can't remember the exact age, right? Well, and then the new laws yet include the women. So my point is that why is it necessary? Why is that so protected? Or why does that protect freedom and liberty of a free state? It's because that power is distributed between every person in this country, every able body. And so and they could unite quickly. They could defend liberty. And it's important that that happens. But that's the way media has become. Every person has a cell phone. Every person has now become a reporter. Every person has an audience. And there's no way it can be corrupted. There's no way it can be taken over. And there's no way that it can be discredited when enough people are saying the same thing.
And that's how it.
Well, absolutely. It's the same concept. It's the distribution of power among the people. And what we see the federal government trying to do and many others, they're trying to consolidate power into one body. And then it can be controlled, manipulated, abused. And social media has made it so that it's distributed amongst everybody. That, that if the mainstream media doesn't get it right, well, people just ignore it and go to where they can get it. And that's where power comes. The people have the power. And that is why it's necessary for the security of a free state.
That's it. Thank you for that argument. Thank you. Thank you for your